Welcome to episode 8 of Night Bass Energy. I'm AC Slater alongside Sinden and our very special guest, 12th Planet. Not only is he an LA legend in the underground dance music community, but he's also a globe-trotting ambassador of dubstep throughout the universe. This is our first guest who doesn't fully fit into the genre spectrum of night bass, but his journey of bringing a niche genre from the UK to the United States and giving it a very unique spin is similar to my own experience building night bass. Sharing your passion for music applies to all genres. We dive into 12th Planet's rich history dating back to the early rave days in Los Angeles, the birth and journey of dubstep in LA, all the way up to touring massive shows with Skrillex around the world. This conversation was recorded back in February in downtown Los Angeles. Please enjoy some serious rave history, courtesy of our good friend, John, aka 12th Planet.
Night Bass! Locked in.
Night Bass Energy, here we are. Feeling good about this one. AC is in the building, of course. And man, John, 12th Planet joins us.
What's up, bitches?
What up,
oh, wait, can
John?
we curse on this thing?
You can
Fuck
do whatever
yeah.
you want,
All right,
man.
fucking
Come on.
Fucking curse, man. Fuck yeah. All right, cool.
For sailors only.
Oh, man, just making sure, man. Shout out to the Night Bass fam. Thank you guys for having me out here, man. Like, it's an honor to chop it up with you guys.
Of course, man.
Thanks for chopping. And speaking of chopping, you're the first dubstep artist we've had on here, which is really exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, actually, technically, Slater is kind of a dubstep artist because he put some dubstep music out back in
You got
2007.
hushed.
In my former life.
I totally remember, man. It was one of them was called Calm
Down.
That was a really cool one. And they had this crazy hook and it went, calm down. But everyone played it, bro. It was like a big fucking tune. And then you had another one. Was it the one with Dell?
Ass Drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Ass Drop
yeah.
was like, you know what the fucked up thing about Ass Drop is? I stopped doing like the dubstep thing and I kind of went back into that what is now night bass,
Yeah.
kind of bassy house vibe. And that was my number one song on Spotify, on iTunes. So anytime you put my name in, it was this tear out dubstep, like full on, like just ear splitting dubstep song. And I was like, God, I don't want to take it down because it's like generating money, but like it's embarrassing because it's not what I'm doing right now. It was like a moment in time where I was experimenting, you know?
I completely understand. It's like Pandora does the same kind of thing where like it only populates the songs that are like that have been in rotation for like a certain amount of time. So like, yeah, you've had this song available for 15 years and that one's going to be the first song that plays, but it's also 15 years old. And you're like, this is not a valid representation of what I'm
It's
doing.
not what
now.
I sound like.
Yeah.
So how do you look back on your music? Like the music that you made first? Like what kind of, how do you feel about it?
Oh man, I still rate it, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm like sometimes like you have your ups and downs. It's like you finish the record and like 2 or 3 months after the record, you're like, "Oh man, I could have done so much better." But then 10 or 15 years later you listen to it, you're like, "Yo, that was actually kind of cool." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So some of the stuff has survived the test of time, but I personally have learned to like not look back and get down on because everything is, a constant learning process.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Just try and identify with like where you were as an artist when that happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
What's like the oldest song of your own that you still play, that you think still holds up?
I would say like the collab with Skrillex and Kill the Noise Burst.
I knew you were gonna say that. That's like pretty timeless.
Yeah, that one, it still holds the test of time. Even I still kind of play it. Like I have a edit of it, or not an edit. Like I have a 2017 version of it that I've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
But like that song basically held the test of time. All the other stuff, it's like because I was producing like in Logic 5 back then, like on PC. and like compression and like all those algorithms for all the VSTs back then, where you couldn't really like clip that hard back then, and now you can get away with so much shit. So like the stuff was so much quieter back then.
It
you know
really
what I'm saying?
was. Yeah.
Some of like, especially like newer producers, like really can smash out the volume. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how to do that. Like, mine's like half the volume of some of these people. It's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah. I remember when we were working in the studio and like, it was just like, how do we get to that? How do we get to that? And that's something I never really thought about before.
Yeah, it's so
house
true.
House music producers don't really have that. I don't know, maybe that challenge or.
There's some, because like I noticed, like a lot of house is definitely, if it ain't got no bass, it sucks, right? You know what I'm saying? And like, but there's some songs, like some of the Dutch stuff, some of the big prog house, which is like, I know it's way different from like your guys' lane, but it's just like a big ass kick drum and like hella synths, just like like, you know what I mean? It's like Mortal Kombat on that motherfucker. But it's really loud because it's so simple.
And I think really having like a few core elements is really like how you're gonna get like the most out of your shit. I don't know, just like stripping it back. I don't know. That's kind of what I think about dubstep when I first listened to it. That it was so just like bare bones. I mean, it's changed a lot now. It's, we're at a different point in time, but yeah.
No, you're right, man. Back in like 05, 06, dubstep was so minimal. And
so sparse.
And it's so sparse. And it was, like just like the dungeon, you know what I mean? Like a lot of reverb on stuff, a lot of echo, a lot of delay. Have a nice little like garage loop in the background and just one halftime kick, halftime snare, and just F note over and over. Like you don't even have to change the note. You know what I'm saying?
So how did you actually discover, as you're from LA originally, how did you end up discovering dubstep, speaking of 2005?
So my previous alias was called Infiltrator, and I was a drum and bass producer. And at that time, from 2001 to about 2006, I made it a point to go to England, at least 2-3 times a year, live there for like a month or two on hand, and just soak up the culture because that's where drum and bass was,
The motherland.
That was the motherland. That's the home of DMB, and that was my life for the longest. And I discovered it like really, I was doing like a Renegade Hardware night. And so Renegade Hardware was this like drum and bass label based in South London. And they used to throw these nights at this place called The End. Legendary venue, right? So towards the end of like those Renegade Hardware nights, in the second room, they would have some dubstep guys come and play. So like Slaughter Mob would play, and like Hatcha and Scream and Lofa and those kind of dudes. And I honestly just thought it was slow drum and bass. I thought they were playing the records on 33. And I was what the hell? Like, yo, you're going to allow these motherfuckers to play Jump Up at 33 down here? Like,
showing your country. You're not from here.
Yeah. And then, like, I just remember I got back home, and then my man Tekich, he's like a producer from Bristol. He was like, yo, or have you gotten into this dubstep thing yet? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, is that like reggae or something? And he was like, no, man, check it out. And then like, I was like, oh, that's that shit I heard at Renegade Hardware. And it was like literally a week or two later, the Marianne Hobbs Dubstep Wars mix aired on BBC. And that was the game changer. Like, then I was like, oh, I could put, this is dubstep. These are the artists. Then I could go to the record shop or go on Chemical or Red Eye Records and like go and try and find those artists. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of those moments that's pretty amazing that you just stumbled upon it. And then right after that, Marianne Hobbs laid it all out for you, basically. Like,
this is
the one guy in LA.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
And at that same time, there was like, there was a few of us, maybe like 8 or 9 of us that were like really into that sound. and we kind of formed the Smog movement. And that was like Sam XL was part of it. But Sam XL was a big element with Drew Smog obviously is like, you know,
Shout out to Drew.
shout out to my man Drew Smog. Like I remember the day he hit me up like, hey, so I kind of want to throw a dubstep party. You know any DJs?
That's a good Drew impression.
I told him, I was like, yo, man, like I have a show in Germany because I was doing drum and bass at the time. And I told him I recommended my buddy N-Man, Nick Argon, he's probably the second dude to even play dubstep in America after Joe Nice on the East Coast.
Big up Joe Nice.
Yeah, shout out to Joe Nice, man. He's the godfather of the whole shit. And then so I recommended him, so he booked him and my boy Matty G. And then like Danny was like, yo, he's like,
Danny, your manager.
So my
Danny
manager,
Johnson.
Danny United, he had already did a dubstep show like probably a year before that. He had booked Pinch. I think it was like Pinch and Mark One. Like he had already had a dubstep show. He's like, yo, like I want to get down with this shit.
And who's Mark One now?
So Mark One is Solardo now.
Yeah, one half of Solardo. How crazy is that? Sorry, continue.
So this was like probably in 2005 or 2006 when all this is going down. And wow, just like, sorry, I'm just flashing back right now trying to hold
I mean, it must
together.
have been exciting to know that you were kind of most likely the first people in America to really bring this to America and show it to, you know, you must have been excited to show it off. And
You know, I can't take all the credit. There was like, it kind of hit everywhere at once.
yeah,
Like New York or Baltimore and New York, they had it first, right? Like
Sure.
Dub War over at Club Love. You know, that was like really the first, like monthly, I want to say, you know what I mean? Like where it was consistent. It wasn't just like, here's one dubstep party in 2005, and then 7 months later, here's another one, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it was popping up there. It was popping up in San Francisco at Grime City. My man Juju had a night at the top on Tuesdays called Futuro. And that was another dubstep night. That was like a weekly dubstep night. And then we had Smog down here in LA. But even before that, like Sam XL used to throw these parties on Melrose at his record shop, like on Melrose and Sierra Bonita. I think there's a street. And the record shop was called Beat Non-Stop, but then they changed it to Temple of Boom. Temple of Boom ended up becoming like a predominantly drum and bass record store that then had a section for dubstep. And this, once a month on Sundays, he would have these parties, and then and people would get together. And that was like pretty much all of LA's first foray into hearing what dubstep was. So if you could imagine, the scene really was birthed from drum and bass.
Right.
So a lot of the because drum and bass was thriving here. Like, you know, you had people like Insomniac, like Pasquale and Forrest. They had a drum and bass weekly, and they had UK talent every week on Wednesdays. And then on Thursdays, you had another weekly called Club Respect, which is still going. They're about to celebrate their 21-year anniversary. Shout out to
Crazy.
next weekend actually on March
Who's playing?
6th. It's Dillinger,
Sick.
Craze, and I can't remember who else. But yeah, Dillinger and Craze is the headliners.
Infiltrator.
Yeah, hey, I wish I was there, bro. I'm gonna be at the First Bank Arena with Excision, like losing my shit.
Do you still throw down drum and bass sets?
I've done one drum and bass full set, like in front of the public at it was the last show ever at the House of Blues in Hollywood. And we did a Smog versus Respect. And that was probably like 4 years ago. And that was my last drum and bass set in front of like a crowd, you know? I've done like stuff in people's backyards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Without them knowing.
Yeah, you know?
Do you still follow drum and bass?
I follow drum and bass religiously, and I have a radio show called Swamplex Radio. We're like once every 2 weeks, and I try and have a section that's dedicated to the newest drum and bass. And right now, like the sound, drum and bass sound right now is so sick right now. Like it's so highly evolved, and there's so many different avenues of it. Like you can go in one direction with Noisia, you know, you can go in one direction with like DJ Gub for the jump up, or Mackie G, you know what I'm saying? Or you can go like in the whole like critical Kazra, like real intelligent kind of stuff, you know? There's so many different faces, so many different avenues to explore, and it's cool to just like listen to that stuff because it's really inspirational and the production level is really high.
Yeah, man. It's still good to kind of geek out on music that is outside of your lane, I guess, and kind of still find inspiration in, you know, many different, you know, areas, I guess, you know.
100%, man.
And kind of bring them on board and kind of you know, tie that into what you do.
Yeah, it's like you can't like put all your eggs in one basket, to say the least. But it's like if you listen to whatever you're producing only for your whole life, or like your like every day for, you know, years on end, like you're just gonna get burnt out on it, man. You need like a fresh take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little inspiration from the outside.
Yeah, for sure. So when you made that transition over to dubstep, was it fair to say you kind of never looked back? It kind of took a hold of you when you were like, that's the kind of direction I want to take now?
It was not by choice. So like at that point, like in 06, when I was starting to make the switch, dubstep was kind of frowned upon by the drum and bass community abroad. Not so much in Los Angeles, but you know, there was this big message board called Dogs on Acid.
Yo, I remember that shit. Man.
Dogs on Acid was like the shit talking mecca, and like if they found out you like were making dubstep, like you just got ripped apart. So in fact, that's why I even created the name 12 Planet, was to differentiate my dubstep stuff from my drum and bass stuff, so that people couldn't figure out like, oh, well, he makes both, you know. I was kind of like scared to let people know that I was making dubstep.
Yeah.
And I think around 2007, for some reason, like the drum and bass kind of just, I stopped getting gigs.
Right.
It just,
it's kind of dried up.
It just kind of dried up.
Right.
In the States. Like,
is that just because, you know, the movement was having a moment, like kind of, you know, thinning out a bit? Or
I really think that at that time, it was like around when, you know, Daft Punk came and played Coachella, and the hipsterism took a hold.
Yeah, the
blog house came around.
Yeah, fidget,
house. and
electro.
And it was like such a cultural like epoch change. Like like even just like people were wearing baggy clothes, and then 2007 rolled around, and then like them tight pants came around, you know, man. And then the leather jackets came around, and that really just like changed everything. Like people really wanted to be a part of something new.
Right.
They like the whole rave scene took a huge hit at that point, you know. It became more indie, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of like indie rock people kind of merged with the rave and the club scene, and I feel like that's a turning point that never went back. You know what I mean? Like that old rave thing kind of still exists, but it's still separate from like kind of even where we are. Like
exactly,
you know, it's interesting. It's really interesting that
I think it's because we got like agents now, and like they're like, you ain't playing this fucking rave that has like one porta potty and no green room.
You're right. The leather jackets came and switched it up, man.
Yeah, man. Oh, the fedoras, all that, you know, like
acid wash
jeans, man. Like,
yo, look up if you're younger and you weren't around the scene in like 2007, just Google like blog house fashion and see what comes up. You're about to see some colorful shit. Maybe A-Track and a fedora.
Google Sinden.
Me and like a pink hat. Look at Sinden's hats, man. A snapback. Oh my God. Colorful times.
Yo, I'm trying to remember, bro. I just like
what was he wearing back then, man?
Oh, Slater, all black. He was a trouble.
All black, but I always had like the colorful hat or something. Because the hats were big back then.
There was like a Trouble and Bass uniform. Like these guys all looked like vampires back then.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. Like they all had the Trouble and Bass logo tee with the nice black jeans and some nice shoes, you know, and like Slater would have the little colorful hat on, little 5-panel. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Trouble and Bass was like my old crew, started by Drop the Lime, who is now called Curses. And also Star Eyes was a part of it, who started it with him, the captain. R.I.P. Math Head was the original member. And then, yeah, I mean, it was our old crew, like very UK driven, like 100%. Bass music mixed with like Baltimore club and like US music
and dubstep. Yeah.
And I think that's how we came together. And then just shout out to Luca Curses for really, you know, his branding was amazing. He designed the logo and all the branding. And I learned a lot about how to build night bass through him and through Trouble and Bass. So shout out to Luca. But also shout out to Trouble and Bass for bringing me and you together.
I think actually we met before that. We met before that. I
came to LA. Yeah. I played your part. Was that your party?
Yeah, so that was our party down in Santa Ana.
Yeah.
And
I slept at your house.
So this was like, I'm trying to remember like what was the big Slater tune. And like this was like a huge Palms Out. And so there was this blog, Palms Out. And they used to give away like a song a day, but then they would rank all the songs. And then Hype Machine. This song was like #1 on Hype Machine for
no one like under the age of 30 knows what you're talking about. All right, real quick refresher for the youngins. So from like 2006 to like 2009, a lot of people discovered their music through blogs. So like you had their Tumblr or whatever, and each blog kind of had their own specialty. And I had put out music on one blog called Palms Out, which is what John's talking about. Sorry, continue.
So and I feel like Palms Out was like kind of like the East Coast one, and like on the West Coast we had Missing Tooth.
Yep, that was dope.
Yeah, shout out my boy Aaron, Russian Aaron. Like he used to run that blog. That was one of the major ones here, but so I discovered his music through the blogs, and we were me and Stranger or DJ Flinch for the dubstep guys. Me and him had a electro alias called True Pseudo.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were just like pumping that shit out, man. And we were gigging every weekend.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yo, hold on. Can I just show you what your name is in my phone? It's like all your aliases. Just here.
It says that. John Christopher Dodzy Dada Infiltrator Smog 12th Planet True Pseudo the Third. That's all of them, bro. And I got an Eagles hat on. Let's go.
Let me see. Yeah. Eagles.
I know we're not talking about Crystal Palace Eagles, bro.
Should be.
Yeah, he's red and blue through and through.
But yeah, I came out, played your party.
Yeah, and then
slept on
the couch. Yeah. And then we were homies ever since, man.
Yeah, what year was that?
That was probably like 2007.
Yeah.
My
man. And that's why you're on here as the first dubstep DJ, because we're homies. You and Sinden go back too.
Yeah.
As well.
Like when I moved out here, we were hanging out, watching sport. Fucking.
For all you Americans, that's sports.
Sports. But it's only one sport, though. That's true. There's only one.
And
real football?
It's a football, mate. It's not fucking American football, bro. And there's only one team, and it's Arsenal. I'm kidding.
No. Hang on. We'll rewind. But you guys are like the dudes out here that like I feel like a connection to because of your connection to the UK as well. You very schooled on English culture, music culture, so I always connect with you to like that, you know. AC, you know all about the UK. You both know all about UK music and sound system culture and stuff like that. Man. So it's a pleasure always just chopping it up and being able to like talk to someone who actually gets the references, the grime MCs or the sayings.
Yeah.
So
you know, you try to keep up with UK slang. It is relentlessly moving at all times. It's always new
with
slang.
The drill stuff.
It's insane.
Oh
insane.
my God. Yeah, it's crazy. Like the only way to keep up with that shit is literally Rap Genius now, man.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so for you guys that don't know, Rap Genius is a website you can go to and it analyzes every lyric ever written.
Yeah, look up all the grime songs. If you're American, look up the grime songs. Get some light shed on the lyrics. You know, I have a great story about that kind of that divide in culture and language. I played a show. I used to play a lot of shows with Mum Dance. Shout out to Mum Dance. And we one night we played a show in like Brighton or some shit. And then after the show, we were hanging out, and I was playing him. He was playing rap songs and asking me what the lyrics meant, like American rap songs, and asking me because he didn't understand like the references. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're in England, you don't get like TV references from America or American sports, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And then so he would play a rap song and be like, "What does this mean?" So I'd explain it, and it blew my mind that he didn't know a lot of the stuff that to us is like really normal. But then like I'll play a grime song, and like every line I was like, "What's that?" And he would explain it. I thought I knew what it meant, but there was so much depth and like, you know what I mean? Like cultural reference behind everything. It's like, it's pretty fascinating when you think you know lyrics. So hit up Rap Genius, because Rap Genius really breaks it all down like a little bit too deep sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it really clears up a lot.
And what's really cool too about Rap Genius now is they have like the actual artists breaking down their lyrics.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like,
Oh, and they're on Spotify too, right?
oh,
if
wow.
if you listen to some songs, it will
feature.
have a video and explain.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
super
yeah,
cool. Okay.
And I think it's just called Genius now. isn't
It's
it?
just called Genius.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they do like rock and roll and country and
dubstep.
They every song. Yeah, but it started off as Rap Genius and yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
man.
blowing up.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about who they are, but they're blowing up. It's a dope site. But yeah, back to the sports. You're a huge sports guy.
Huge sports nut.
What's your favorite sport
I
besides
like
wrestling?
wrestling. Yeah, I love me some wrestling, man.
Is that your favorite?
That's probably my favorite. I probably like spend more time actively watching that than any other sport.
But you don't just watch it; you travel to watch it.
Yes.
Which
Yeah,
is
break it down.
break it down, man.
down.
Like
Where did that start
WrestleMania,
from?
Royal Rumble, like so I'm a big WWE fan, but I also support the independents.
Right.
So like WWE is kind of like Insomniac, right? And like the the other independents are like the smaller promoters and
This
stuff.
is the perfect metaphor.
Yeah. Like so like EDC, right, is like WrestleMania,
Yeah.
you know, and then like all these other like whatever festivals are like, you know, the other independent like big pay-per-views. So there's like AEW, there's New Japan, and my favorite though is based in Los Angeles. It's called PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and like I just love it, like the spirit of it and like the mentality behind it, because it really there's a lot of similarities to like dance music in general, you know.
In what sense?
In what sense? Like trying to get gimmicks over, you know, like someone wearing like a fucking microwave on their head and going to DJ out, you know, like
Like a branding.
like a branding thing. Yeah, like these guys stick to their brand and like they live by this thing, and like they're 100% that gimmick when they're in the ring in front of everyone, and then when they go backstage, they go back to being a normal person. You know what I'm saying?
How did you feel when you found out that wrestling wasn't fit? It was fixed.
Okay, so I kind of had a feeling that it was, but then I said that to a wrestler, and then he slapped me, and he was like, "Is that real?" And I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "Hell yeah!" So it's like, yo, it's the only thing that is like not real in wrestling is the outcome. It's a predetermined outcome. But getting slammed and jumped on and getting sat on by like a 500-pound dude, like that shit hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no faking that.
Yeah, there's no faking that. Even when you go to like wrestling training, the like every 45 minutes they have what's called heat checks. And what they'll do is they'll just slap the shit out of each other, like just so they like lose feeling in certain parts of their body, so that it doesn't hurt when they take it like in front of people. So they'll just do knife hand chops over and over, slap each other in the shoulders, slap each other on the back, slap each other in the face for like a long time, bro. They're just taking pain. And the more pain, the higher threshold your pain that you can take, the the better wrestler
That's
you
the
become.
more successful you're gonna be for sure. For sure.
I went to Valentino had a show downtown like last year with a bunch of wrestlers. You were there.
Oh hell yeah, Conomania.
That was awesome, man. That was
Did he have a wrestling ring?
There was a wrestling ring,
yeah.
and like, so, yeah, he had a DJ booth behind the ring, and then the crowd on the other three sides of the ring, and then during the sets, there would be a wrestling match. There was like, one-on-one. There's like tag team. It was so dope. That was one of the best shows I've ever been to. It was really fucking fun.
And that's another not an explanation. What's the word I'm looking for? But yeah, that's independent wrestling right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so much cooler than like, the TV 14 wrestling that they show on television,
They were really good too, those guys.
Yeah.
And girls. Yeah. It was awesome. And I will say when Jose, et cetera, was playing like Moombahton, the wrestling went so well with Moombahton. Like it was the best background because it'd be like building up and it'd be like, and they're just like slam down. Everyone would cheer. It was so good, man.
And keep in mind the two guys in the ring were of Latin descent. Too.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like Mariachi Loco.
Yeah.
And
That
like,
was
so it just
fucking vibe.
totally fit the vibe.
That was a vibe.
And like those guys had a great time. So even the wrestlers were like, we need to like do this way more often. Like combine the two worlds.
Yeah.
Which I would have never thought in 1,000 years would work. Like back in the day at when Electric Daisy Carnival was at in downtown Los Angeles over at the sports arena / Coliseum, they used to have wrestling next to the bass rush stage. So there's all German bass and then like Lucha Libre like right next to that. There's no fucking video wall, none of that stuff, There's maybe 2 or 3 lights on that stage and a wrestling ring.
That's dope.
Yeah. But it didn't work back then. Like all the kids were just high as shit.
John, you must have some crazy LA stories, man.
Oh,
Like,
man.
You were raised
Yeah,
here,
dude.
right? And everything.
Yeah, born and raised here,
Mad.
raved here.
Raved here.
Yeah, man. I've been raving here since 96.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What was he
how old were
listening
you?
to?
I was 14 when I got into it. Yeah. Like really, because it was like house music was so big in LA at that time. Like from when I was like in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, like Power 106 played house music like 7-8 hours of the day. They had hip hop in the morning, and they had hip hop from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then everything else in between was pretty much just like house music. It was crazy because where I grew up, like LA, Inglewood area, like you would go to like the house party or the kickback someone's house, literally someone's house. And that's what they're playing in the backyard, you know what I mean? Because like you go to the hip hop party, somebody's getting shot, So like fuck all that. Like we're going to the house party, I'm trying to dance with some girls,
Right.
Get my groove on, bro.
Right.
And there was like two different types of people who like went to these parties, right? There was a group called the Rebels who kind of wore like tight, like kind of tight jeans with the bottom of the jeans cut like as a slit, and they were really nice. They were like pretty boys, like slick back hair, like a silk shirt, and then you had the Groovers who were like pretty much the ravers. They'd wear like Mickey Mouse gloves, bright colors, like seat belts,
Sick.
big pants.
Which one were you?
I was like kind of in between. I was like, because like I didn't want to go full
You're
on.
the politician of dance music.
Because I still like hip hop a lot, and I was playing on travel basketball teams and stuff like that, and so I couldn't like show up to the basketball game with Mickey Mouse gloves.
Yeah.
But I, like, yo, make no
Straight
mistake.
from the rave.
Yeah, I was listening to motherfucking house and hardcore in my headphones though.
What was the entry point? How was you getting all this music? Like how we just
So
going?
my high school is based in or the high school that I went to is in the center of LA, and it was a Catholic school. It's called Loyola, and this school brings in people from all over the county. So there's people from South LA, from West LA, from East LA, and from like the North LA too. So there's people from every single walk of life, and I was exposed to so much culture there that it just blew my mind. Like, so like, you know, you find the guys that are into the same stuff as you. So on my team, on my football team, there was like a few guys that were into house music. And then there was some guys who had already taken the next step. They had older brothers who were raving already. They're like, oh, you like house music? Well, you're going to love this gabber shit. It's like really fast house. And like, that's what really got me going. Like, and so I started getting really into hardcore, getting really into gabber.
You were into hardcore?
Yeah, bro. Like, yo, like
Not happy hardcore. You were into
no,
gabber.
like, well, like when I was high,
Rotterdam.
when I was high as hell, like happy hardcore was awesome. There was a huge DJ out here called Paulina Taylor.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know him.
Yeah, so Paulina Taylor, he was like the king of LA. Like when Brisk would come too, like Brisk would shut it down.
Yeah.
But back then we didn't have that many out of town headliners coming in because everything was underground. Like there's no visas involved, like none of that shit.
But you know, I was like, you know, back then I was a huge like hardcore, happy hardcore head.
I definitely know that.
You know that. And I was DJing and I started like, you know, the first American happy hardcore label in 2000. And like the first time I ever came to LA was in 2001 and I played a rave. And I know you say it wasn't that big, but like compared to anywhere else in the country, like LA, it was insane. Like all the Insomniac parties, like they had the hardcore stage. So you'd have all the UK guys that we like dreamed about seeing were like at this festival. And like, so you kind of had it good.
Well, the festivals definitely had a lot of international talent, especially the Insomniac ones and the Narnias and like those kind of parties. But like, I'm talking like the grind. Like we had Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, hardcore, like all over the place, man. Like, especially in San Bernardino at, there was the venue for hardcore was called the Masterdome.
That's so hardcore. That's so hardcore.
Dude, I saw everyone there, dude.
Masterdome.
Rob G, Omar Santana, Neophyte, the Stun Guys, like all these kind of dudes were out there just like crushing shit. And plus we had our own scene here like
Dr.
Demigod.
Free Clouds.
Yeah, so Ronnie Core had Dr. Free Clouds. Yeah, In Young, Capsule, Donut. Demigod was my man, dude. Like he was one of my favorites. You know,
look at this side.
This is such a history lesson
The gabber
for me.
side of 12th Planet. You gonna make some gabber?
My AIM name back then, or my AOL name,
it.
sorry, not even my AIM. My AOL name was John Decor.
Ron Decord, like legendary, like LA gabber hardcore DJ, John Decord, the AIM name. Amazing.
I love all these DJ names as well that you just listed off.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a capsule, time capsule.
Yeah.
Lost Boy, Dutch Boy. Shout out Dutch Boy.
Dutch Boy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dutch Boy.
That's Leo. Leo, he's
dope,
an agent
man.
now. He's a dubstep
Yeah.
agent.
He's dope. He's dope.
Damn. See, I need
Look
to learn about all this. I mean, good job you're on the fucking podcast.
See,
to,
we
like,
know.
School me on this shit.
We know about all the UK history. You need to learn about the US.
I know.
Because we took all this shit from Europe. I mean, America has house music, and like acid or whatever, but like all that stuff, the hardcore, the gabber, the drum and bass, the dubstep, the garage, all that stuff is like, or the UK garage, it is all, you know, foreign to us. And it was like, the hardcore especially was like so exotic and like, what is this? It's beyond underground. You know what I mean?
I feel you. I feel like it's like kind of like what happens whenever America gets a hold of something, you know? Like
We ruin it.
We just like make it extra harder and sell hella tickets, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like, you know, like England had hardcore. And like I feel like, you know, US guys, especially in New York,
Yeah,
like
Rob
they,
G's,
like Rob G
Lenny
and all
D.
them, and the Dutch guys too. They kind of like just took hardcore and made it faster, and then like really distorted the kick on top of it, and then it became like
like a hard style.
yeah, you know.
kinda thing.
I feel like hard style though is more melodic, and it has like, you know, those detuned saws like playing like dun, 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 dun. And like gabber to me was real sample based, like a lot of hip hop samples,
All the hip hop samples.
Yeah. like
Sick.
and just like kick and 909s like going crazy in the back, you know.
It sounds so good. Like 909s and rap songs. It's like kind of what I'm doing. Like it's much slower.
but very fast and overly distorted. I mean, I still have like industrial strength records and stuff like that.
Oh,
that
I
are
love
just
those
like,
dudes,
if you listen to them and it's like, for us, it's like nostalgic and great. But if you played it for someone, they'd probably be like, "What the hell is this?" It's funny that was your kind of big entry point.
That was my first entry point into rave culture.
Like we have so many similarities.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because back then, like hardcore was like what drum and bass became, what dubstep is to like the rave culture. Like it's like the more aggressive side of things, where like house, yeah, you're always gonna have like a fucking great crowd and everyone's dancing and grooving and getting their groove on, all that shit. But all the kids are beating each other up and like putting their heads in the middle of the speaker. That's, you know, that's what hardcore was. That's what dubstep kind of is now, you know.
You know, maybe, I don't know, you tell me if you agree, but like I look at it this way. Like I have a really short attention span. You know, my whole life I was into, like when I was really young, into punk and rap and
Same.
House music never did it for me. I always loved, you know, the hardcore, the gabber, the drum and bass, all that kind of stuff where there was like drops and breakdowns and switches. Yeah, drop culture. And like house was like, I like the music, but I can't listen to the same loop for 8 minutes. So I think maybe that's where our similarity is. We have a short attention span, maybe.
100%.
And then like, you know, for me personally, my experience was like once maybe 2006 or 7 or whatever, when maybe Switch, Sinden, all those people were doing the count were doing like Hervé, we're doing like Fidget. Yeah. It changed house music. Switch was doing drops and breakdowns, and it was house music for short attention spans. And that's how I really was like, wait, I can be into house music. House music wasn't always how it is now. There's so many build-ups and drops, and it was always about the groove. So when you say house now, it's a different thing than it was when we talk about it when we were kids.
Like, you know? Mushroom jazz.
Yeah.
Like when I think of house, that's what I think of like Mark Farina and shit.
Like a really soulful 10-minute groove.
Yeah. And you're like, damn, that intro was 6.5 minutes long. Like, yo, like what's going on, bro?
How did you start DJing? Like, who showed you how to do it? How did you get interested?
It's such an interesting story because you know, I was rapping back then. I started off as an MC.
I think anybody that's been into rap music at some point has tried to MC.
Yeah. You got to
at
start
varying
somewhere.
Degrees of success.
What was your MC name?
MC John Dada.
Yes.
Like the Don Dada,
yeah, that's
but
dope.
with John Dada.
Yeah.
I like it.
So back then it was, you know, I was buying records and learning how to mix on my own. Like I learned how to mix by mixing the same two drum and bass records. It was actually Aphrodite's the Loonies I Got Five on it remix. I played them at the same started them at the same time, and then just like figured out, so if like this record is going at this speed, then that means I can like mix it at, you know, and like, and then
how did you get the decks? How did you get the records? Like,
Oh,
how did you get to that point?
I was just buying records already, but one of my homies, DJ Lith, he lived down in Huntington Beach, and I would just like cut down to Orange County and we go in his house and just, you know, take bong loads and fucking mix for 12 hours a day, you know,
Sick.
and then make music the other 12, you know, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sleep maybe 3 days later. But it's like, I was producing the drum and bass at that time and making
And that was the first
hardcore
thing you
too.
started producing was drum and bass.
No, I started producing hip hop first.
Okay.
And then I got into hardcore and I was like, well, I got Fruity Loops. And then I realized, oh shit, like if you speed up the BPM from 140 to 180, it becomes hardcore. It's the same. I was like, I like it never registered in my head, you know? And if you put some distortion on the kick, like you got yourself some shit. Fast forward, like, you know, I realized that I wasn't that good at making hardcore. And that drum and bass was a little easier because all you had to do was find like a break, speed up the break, and, you know, put a little bass line on top of it. And it never occurred to me that you had to like chop the break up and do all that stuff. But I started producing and I was not getting gigs. So the only way to get gigs was to MC for the DJs. Because in LA, the drum and bass scene was so cutthroat. There was like 20 guys that were put on and they played every single rave. Every weekend. It was RAW, Deacon, Machete, Heretic, Alder, Dawn, Origin, Oscar the Grouch.
Sounds like UK drum and bass.
Yeah,
Very
APX1.
tight-knit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So the only way that you could get put on is if you were MC. There was only 2 MCs back then. And there was one from the UK. His name was MC question mark, and there was another one from USA, and his name was it's MC Kemp. Sorry. Those guys were at every single show, and I'd started off by, you know, becoming these guys' MCs. So then they were like, yo, come with me to this rave. And so I would go do, you know, 4 gigs in the night, 5 gigs in the night,
Wow.
$20 a pop, you know, come back home with $100, spend 50 of it on an eighth of weed, you know what I mean? Like,
What was like one of your go-to bars?
fuck, hold on.
And did you use a UK accent or
No, I was like kind of it was like kind of a mix.
hybrid? Yeah.
It was It was like, give me the light, give me the weed, give me the bong, give me the rip and snare, and we about to hit the damn song. Like, yeah. I have like a one that like I kind of bit off Shaba. It was like kind of like a Chilapa Lapa, MC John Dada, like kind of thing. Like,
That's so dope.
like these guys from England, they were called Mock and Rusta. They heard me on my boy's radio show, and they were like, "Yo, we want you to become our host for this night called Database Sessions." And Database Sessions was kind of like a step up for me because I'm like 18, 19 years old. And the only way that you were ever going to MC for like a UK guy is if you play the festival. But the festivals, they weren't booking MCs really back then because they just weren't into that stuff, you know?
It wasn't part of the culture.
It wasn't part of the culture yet at all. So then I got put on the Database and I started being able to MC for all these UK dudes like Clute, Goldie, TB had just moved over to England.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
Crust,
so
Die,
sick.
Ronnie
That's cool.
Size. Like,
And they would be cool. They would just be, because you know some DJs are like very strict about who they want on their set.
100%.
You know
I knew
what I'm
when
saying?
I was, because I made the music and I knew every song. I was like balls deep at the record shop, balls deep on Napster, balls deep on Audio Galaxy. I knew every fucking moment of every song that they were playing. So I knew when to shut the fuck up. Most MCs, like, they're just
Yeah.
high as hell and they're just like blah, 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 blah. And like,
They want to be heard,
they want to be heard.
and not help the DJ.
Yeah, so I was just like, hey, make some noise. This dude's killing it. All right, cool. Then like there'd be like,
MC'd for fucking Ronnie Size
That's
and
cool.
Goldie.
yeah. Conflict,
Wow.
like man, all these
TV.
dudes.
Wow.
Yeah, Shimon.
Dude, how did I not know this about you? I'm
Yeah.
so mad right now. I'm so happy to find out all this stuff. But
But that's also what helped me out because then I could drop them my demos. So I would
Right.
drop them a CD. Like here's like, yo, I made 10 songs here.
Yeah.
And for some of the special guys, we had a cutting house here called Turnstile Records,
Right.
and it was on Palms and Motor. And my boy Oscar the Grouch was cutting dub plates. Like that was what we did on Thursday nights. Was all
How much was it a dub?
so for the 40 for the 33 for the 10-inch, and only each side was like $15. So,
Okay.
all right.
so $30 for the 10-inch. For the 12-inch was $45.
All right, so let's explain for everyone listening who's, of course, like we've said before, young. So now you make a song, you put it on a USB and you play it. Back in these days, he's talking about going to a record plant and pressing one record that cost that much money so you could
no
try
one else
out
has
your
that.
song and see how it goes.
Yeah. And that
How
shit was
crazy.
heavy as hell too.
And it's made out of acetate. It's heavy. And you could play it about like 30 times before it's like super crackly.
Yeah,
If you're lucky.
I mean, if you're lucky, man. Like I took good care of them plates, man. Like I'd like brush them off every time. So I'll probably get about like 45 spins.
Yeah. The caretaker.
And then it just sounds like right after, you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I was, back then I was trapping pretty hard,
Yeah.
So I had enough money to cut plates, and I would just hand them out. Like, I'm like, yo, here's my song, bro. Like, and then people started playing it. And then,
So he was real active, man.
yeah.
Just being out there, just like doing your thing, like networking. I mean, how important was that really for you to get your start? Like, just
That was the utmost importance was
sounds like it.
networking.
Yeah.
And also, back then it was like, how like now if a person wants to get a hold of an artist, they just go to their Facebook or their Twitter and they drop a comment. There was none of that shit back then. And like most of the artists weren't on message boards. So the only way to really send music to an artist was to have their AOL or their AIM or their ICQ
Yep.
or their MSN Messenger. You know what I'm saying? So I had all three running at all times. I was always trying to network, and it was easier to build with the guys once you had that direct connection with them. And then you could send them. You're like, I just bounced this song. Like
You proved your like allegiance to the genre, and you've been networking hard
Yeah, man.
in the right way for 15 years.
shit. No, man, try 20.
20 years.
Yeah. I played my first gig in '99. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did my first DJ gig like in end of 2001 probably. That's when they gave me a shot finally after emceeing like maybe 1,000 times.
Wow.
I was doing like I said, 4 or 5 gigs a night, man.
Wow.
LA was crazy back then. It was
Like,
lawless.
like where would you go in a typical night? Like 4 or 5. Like what would the routing be for that?
So I would do like La Casa, which is in like downtown LA. Like that would probably be like the first one. Then the next one would be like in Pomona at either the Glass House or the Fox Theater. Then the next one would be out in San Bernardino at the Masterdome. And then we'd leave the Masterdome maybe like 4 or 5 in the morning. We come do the last gig like at 6, 7 in the morning back somewhere in Hollywood, maybe at Club Circus, or one of those like, the after hour spots. And raves were going on. There'd be 5 or 6 a night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every week.
That's incredible, man.
Nice.
I mean, do you look back at that time as like a very special time? Because I'll just say, like, as someone who's from the East Coast, who always looked at LA and wasn't here, it looked like so much was going on. And from what you just said, it sounds even crazier than I thought it was like back then. And it sounds really special. Was it, do you look back on that like this amazing time in history of like dance music? And LA.
It's really tough for me because I also don't remember most of it.
Yeah.
Because I was just it's like such a blur because there was so many shows, so many gigs. I'm doing anything just to get my name out there. And I wasn't even drinking back then either, so like it wasn't that. It's just more like the volume, the sheer volume.
So much experience.
There was so much shit going on, and I made so much music. So I like all I was that, you know. And
You're just living it,
I
man.
was just living it. Yeah, man.
You don't have time to like process it. You know,
Yeah,
in there.
but now that you say it, like yo, I had so much fun, but you know, I could barely afford rent. I could barely afford to eat.
It was an investment, man. Now you got rent.
I mean, there wasn't that as much money in the game back then. I mean, unless you had vinyl sales to kind of support that.
Yeah, especially out here, like you were saying, like you know, like the big dog DJ probably made like 300, 400 bucks. The headliner, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was rare. Like maybe the UK headliner would come out here, or the Dutch headliner. They might get like 800 bucks to headline this massive party. And massives back then were like, you know, 2,000 people, 1,500 people, you know.
What are like the biggest, talking about like how epic shit used to be and all that stuff, what are some of like the big turning points when like you were building this dubstep scene out here and in America in general? What was like a couple of like the really big moments where you were like, I'm onto something? Because I think people now probably don't understand that dubstep wasn't a thing for a long time until, you know, pretty recently. But like, what were a couple moments where you were just like, this is about to be something?
So a couple moments were so I'd say the first would be Smog #1 at the Echo, and 400 people showed up on just promotion from flyers at drum and bass parties, and we had this one message board called Jungle Scene. And on that, we promoted on that. And I wasn't a part of this show, but I remember seeing that many people, and I was like, holy shit, this is like, there's a lot of people here that I thought there was only 8 of us, you know? Maybe those people that went to the show didn't know what dubstep was, but then they ended up coming back. So fast forward like 2 years later, we booked Caspa at a warehouse somewhere like right down the street on Broadway and 9th. And 1,000 people showed up. This is like probably in 2008, I want to say. And we were like, holy shit, like this is 1,000 people at the show. 1 year later, we're doing Smog at the House of Blues, and it's sold out. And I was just like, this is insane, you know? It was just me, Caspa, and the Smog residents. But we brought out Ika Mouse as a special guest.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And he came out, he did his thing. He was fucking high as shit. I'll never forget that.
Damn.
Like, wearing all Ed Hardy, going, bong, bong, bitty, bong, bong, bitty.
Wow.
So then we were like, we can't get bigger than this. Like, House of Blues sold out. Not in advance, but sold out the day of. Then we go a year later, Rusko moves out here. So then me and Rusko are playing at the Avalon. And it's a show after this super group that it's a group between Cypress Hill and the Deftones and a couple other bands. Like I don't know the name of it, but they did like a fundraiser show for someone. And that show sold out at the Avalon. And there was like an hour changeover. And then Rusko and me came in.
An hour changeover? So there was like nothing
Yeah.
for like an hour?
Yeah, there was not like there was nothing for an hour, and there was a line. This was back when they would put 3,000, 4,000 people in the Avalon.
Oh wow.
Like now, like because of those days, like they capped it, like it's like only 1,200 people can get in there. So there's 4,000 people waiting in line to come see Rusko. And I'm just, I'm the opener, but, I'm no spring chicken either, I've been doing shows and shit. So I open up I'm playing on the balcony. There's like people coming in. Now it's time for Rusko to go on, and then they just raise the curtain. And Rusko's wearing these like bright green glasses, and he plays like Sweet Shop by Dr. P. And I just remember everyone just went boom and like just rushed the stage. And then I was like, where did all these people come from? And it was maybe 3,700 people in the Avalon at that time.
What year was this?
This is probably like 07, 08.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember Trouble and
Maybe
Bass
09.
Crew. We got a hold of like a Sweet Shop dub, like an MP3, and I was just like, this is changing everything.
That was,
It was huge.
dude. I went on tour with Rusko. It was the first hard coach tour in North America. It was Destructo, me, Rusko, and Crystal Castles, and we toured like 2 weeks. On a tour bus. I was with Rusko the whole time. He had the whole back of the bus as his studio. But I just saw the power. That was really the first time I really witnessed the power of dubstep in North America. And playing Terminal 5 and all these huge venues across the US. And it was just, there was just something in the air. You knew that this was a movement, man.
Yeah.
It was happening in front of you.
And it picked up steam, man. And it was like Rusko was gasoline on the fire, basically, you know. And it just went.
That fabric mix, like
that
when
fabric
they had
mix,
that opportunity to do that. They really kind of. I feel like that was a catalyst for.
Is that
one of them
and the what's Melissa Kid Sister? You did the Kid Sister remix. And it was like Kid Sister remix was for dubstep. Like Crooker's Day and Night was for like
electro house,
house fidget kind of thing, you know.
That remix was a banger.
They both dropped kind of at the same time, right?
Same era.
Yeah, and then so then all this Rusko shit's going on. Then like that's when I joined up with Scion, and then me and Rusko, my first, because if you had a radio show on Scion, you were allowed to like fly in whatever artists you want, and then you would go on this little mini tour called the Metro Tour, and you'd do some crazy weird markets.
And it was like Monday through Thursday.
Yeah, Monday through Thursday, no weekend shows.
I was with like Scion in like Oklahoma on like a Thursday night. Like, what the fuck?
Them were the days, man. You're like, wait, you guys are gonna pay us to play Wednesday night in fucking Oklahoma?
Thank you, car company.
Yeah, thank you, car company. Well,
good socks too.
So the next benchmark for me was Scion gave us a shot at doing a dubstep night at the Roxy in LA. And actually, Slater, you were the first one. It was me, you, and Rusko.
Yeah.
And that's weird how it ties all together. And I remember like it was a free show, but they turned away like 500 people. And from then on, they were like, well, we're going to do one a month. And then they would just ask me like, hey, who do you want to book? And I just started picking artists. And so the first one, we turned away 500. The next one, we turned away 750. The next time, we turned away 1,000 people. The next time, we turned away 1,500. So by the time we're like a year and a half into this thing, we're turning away 2,000 people every fucking Wednesday when we would do this shit. So like this one.
What's that, like 2010?
That's like 2009, 10.
Yeah.
Both of those. And that's when I was like, whoa, it can't get bigger than this. And then and then Skrill came, and that just broke it wide open, man. Like he went on tour with Deadmau5, and Deadmau5 released his EP, Scary Monsters EP, and he held down 8 out of 10 positions on Beatport, which at that time was a huge feat. And then it was over. It was like,
and here we are.
And here we are.
But what did that feel like? Because you knew Skrill, like going into that, you probably taught him a lot about dubstep and all that kind of stuff. So like, how did that feel to watch that, the person you knew, your friend, like kind of turn into this like phenomenon?
Like at first, I didn't like understand it. Like I was just like, okay, like I know Sonny, like, but I'm not traveling on the road with him. And he's not playing any shows in LA unless it's like a back-to-back or he does some random set at Moscow at Cinespace, you know what I mean? So I remember at that time he was like staying with us a lot. I remember he came back home one day, he's like, I sold out Austin Music Hall. I'm like, the fuck you did? Like, and that's like a 4,000 cap room, you know what I mean?
He's sleeping on your couch.
And he's sleeping on the couch like homeless, bro, like with just a backpack full of clothes and like a laptop, you know? And I'm like, nah, no, you didn't. I've been doing this shit fucking 5 years. You know, I can barely sell 1,000 tickets, 500 tickets. Then that became a thing like every week he was doing rooms like that. And I've witnessed the power firsthand when that South by, I think it was 2010 South by.
I got pictures from that one, man.
Yo, 2010 South by was with Skrill it was like walking around with the Beatles. Mm-hmm. And I never experienced, like the only other person I ever seen that was sort of similar to that was Steve Aoki. Mm-hmm. Like wherever Steve Aoki goes, like there was like hundreds of people trying to follow him and trying to just get a picture with him. Like with Skrill, it was the same. And I never knew that because he was, up until that point, he was just like my homie that we made tunes all the time. And he was on the couch. And then like after that, I was like, yo, this dude's a legend. Like there's no turning back.
Yo, you could see, I mean, something about him is his work ethic. I'd never seen anything like that. Because like when he was staying with you was when I was thinking about moving out here. And I slept on your couch too. But you had that like big, it was 2 couches like shaped like an L.
Yeah, like an L.
So I would sleep on one and he would sleep on the other. And like I would wake up and he would be gone. And then I would go to sleep and he wasn't there yet. The dude was grinding so hard. And then like, I would wake up, start making plans, but you guys are collabing. So he'd be working and then you go in and work and he'd come out and I see him working on his laptop on something else. Then he'd go to a meeting. It was like the wildest thing. Like that work ethic is crazy, man.
Yeah,
like
he still got it.
He deserves everything he has. It's dope that he had you to kind of pull him into that circle. Because like you said, like going back to drum and bass, like I feel like those kind of scenes are very like you're not as tight as drum and bass is as far as like keeping people out, but like you want to make sure like people that love the genre come in and do it right. You know what I mean? And that's dope that you instilled that in him.
Hell yeah, man. Like, dude. But he took it to the next level, man.
Yep.
Like, hats off.
Yep. So crazy, man. What a journey you've had, bro.
Yeah.
MC.
And that was a decade ago, bro. Like, I've had another decade to live since then.
What's coming up next, man?
What's coming up next, man?
You always, every time
More
I open
dubstep.
up a post on your Instagram, it's like, this is like me in front of a fucking huge crowd somewhere in, somewhere in the world. It's like, what's up? What's coming up, man?
I got lucky that Dubstep had a resurgence, man.
That's awesome.
I'm fortunate enough to be able to still play these shows, and I'm still getting booked for them and still getting to travel for it. I don't know how long it's going to last, but you know what? I'm going to ride this shit until the wave crashes ashore. You know?
Yeah, man.
But I'll say like you know, resurgence is great for you, but like you've always stuck to your guns. I respect that, and I've learned a lot from you from witnessing you doing that, because like I wavered when EDM came, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, maybe I should do this. But I watched you like sticking to dubstep. That's your love and your belief and what you're into. And look what happens. Like it pays off in the end.
You know,
because you're the guy that represents what dubstep is. You know what I mean?
To be honest with you, I was like you, but for 1 year, like that 2013 when dubstep was a bad word, like I just recently actually was looking at my old record box files, and I played a lot of EDM back then, bro. Like I was playing, like I was trying to keep up with like with Skrill and Kill the Noise. Everyone back then had multi-genre sets. Yeah. Like you start at 100 and then you work your way up to 175.
But what you represented was dubstep.
Yeah. But
you had to fit. You obviously always have to change your set, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you always held down dubstep.
Oh
Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
even at the lowest time of dubstep, you were like, I'm dubstep.
Yeah, you're
Keep
so
going.
synonymous with dubstep, man. Like when dubstep comes up, it's like 12th Planet, man. It's like always.
Yes. The Don Dada. The John Dada. Say it with me.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I'm so glad we got you in here. This is,
I learned so much.
yeah.
Oh man.
Honestly.
Hey, just so you know, we'll have to do a part 2 sometime.
For sure, man.
Because we only got to year 2010, I believe.
I know. There's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, I
We've
feel
been going
like-
about an hour and
So we'll revisit this in like 6 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you guys gonna have me back or what?
Fuck yeah. Come
bro,
on.
you're gonna be a regular.
Come on.
Yeah, just hit us up on socials and let us know if he should be a regular, because I think he should be.
By hit you up on socials, you mean walk across the street to your crib?
No, the listeners, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You don't leave your crib.
Yeah, you
this
don't
is a
leave
rare
my crib.
moment where he leaves his house. Just to let
To
you
go
know,
2 blocks.
yeah, just to let you know the situation geographically. Me and 12th have been neighbors for about 8.5 years, and we are now a block and a half from his apartment, and it's pretty awesome if you get him to leave his apartment, because he has a dope like compound, big loft apartment.
I
where
wouldn't
everyone
leave
hangs
either,
out.
man.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wouldn't
Yeah,
leave
bro.
either.
I got all sorts of toys and VSTs, man.
TV
There's big
screens,
TV.
Yeah, TV
Yeah.
screens, bro.
Crazy ass Pioneer mixer.
aquariums.
Still got that big aquarium. Yeah, if you're lucky enough to go in the house where I slept on the couch, where Skrillex slept, where a lot of people slept on the couch. God damn, man, you and Danny.
Yeah, we talked about you and all that kind of same thing on that Netflix show Beyond the Raves with Tommy Sunshine. So if you guys want a visual thing that was Slater's
And
talking
that
about
was
just go
back
on
then
Netflix.
too, right? When they shot it
I think they shot it, like 2014 or
before you
15 or
remodeled the spot.
No, they shot it right when we finished the remodel.
Oh, shit.
But the one thing that we kept was the couch.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yo, that's the couch that Slater sat on, dude.
Legendary,
Like
man.
if this couch could talk.
It's also the couch. It's also the couch that I watched Crystal Palace beat Arsenal on.
Oh,
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
damn. Yeah, you're, like that's bragging rights. Still, was that the one that I passed out
The
on?
one you passed out.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, good.
I've seen great photos.
After 1-0, I was like, fuck this game.
Yo, 12.
But yeah, I think we've got a lot of unfinished business, so we'll have you back again.
I can't wait to
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back.
Yeah, it'd be dope to have you as like a guest co-host.
That would be
or
cool.
something. Yeah,
That would be super
just pop
sick.
in for like a segment.
That
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah.
You guys tell me when and where, I'm not that far away.
'Cause if you haven't
Bring
learned,
some real beers next time.
Hey, just so you guys know, right now I'm
Yo.
drinking Heineken 0%, and it tastes like beer, and it gets you placebo drunk with no hangover in the morning.
yeah. So both me and John, like, we cut back on the drinking in the past year, and like, he really, got me into the Heineken Zeros. You're out, everyone's drinking, you have a couple of those, you feel like you're involved. You get that placebo effect, and it tastes like beer. It's good. So Heineken, someone that works
That
from
was
Heineken,
such a smooth,
yeah.
slip that one in.
Yeah,
Heineken.
If you work
brand
for,
ambassador right here.
if you work for Heineken and you're listening, hook us up, bro.
That's right, brother.
But yeah, John, thanks for coming through all the way down the street. We'll have you back
In his
again.
pajamas.
Yeah, anytime. Yo,
I mean, it's dope to like, we primarily have like night bass artists and house producers and bassline producers, and it's dope to have someone from a different genre. And we have the same kind of path, a lot of the same influences and experiences. It's been dope, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John.
no, thank you guys for having me. And don't forget about the reach around. I'm going to have you guys on Swamplex Radio for
Yeah.
the first ever house special.
Check out Swamplex Radio from our boy, the Swampy Couch.
The soup,
The soup.
the suplex.
All right, this is Night Bass Energy. Peace out.
Peace out.
All right, that was episode 8 of Night Bass Energy with 12th Planet. I'm sad to let you know that this is the last episode of our first season. We'll check in with updates about season 2 Until then, you can stay up to date by following Nightbase on Instagram and Twitter, and you can always check for updates on nightbase.info. We'll see you soon. Until next time, be sure to keep up that good Nightbase energy.